to Inokiza TV. Jacky Kemigisa is my name. With me is Mr.
Tamale Mirundi.
My first question, Mr. Tamale, is during the Sejusa crisis, you stormed into the Observer offices and threatened to shoot a journalist. What's your comment on that?
I'm a journalist myself, and I'm a highly trained journalist. I know the responsibility of journalism. There is no society that allow a media that thrives on malicious people. There is no society that can accept an arrogant media. And the problem you have in Uganda is that because newspapers lack readers, you have resorted to nonsense. You don't know the impact of your stories. There's a newspaper called Kamunye. They published a headline that I had been sacked from State House for over drinking and women. You know the impact of this story on my credibility. I've fought my way from the village to where I am. That's why I call myself from Kukuna, self-made. My father was a poor man. You cannot just joke about my credibility and I live with you.
So that is, you think...
yes, that's why I stormed the Observer. No, I went there, I wanted to see the fool who had written that story. Because if you don't contact me, and you don't know, you say, Mirundi is also under investigation because of his links with Tinyefunds. This is a serious matter. It's a serious matter. My escorts are soldiers. Some of my property, my houses, are guarded by soldiers because of the insecurity. Now you are telling me that I'm an enemy of government, a spokesperson of government, a spokesperson of government of the president.
Let me interrupt you on that. You mentioned Sejusa. You were questioned. There was an observer.
There is nobody who can question me
about your relation with
a child who resembles his father cannot be subjected to a DNA exercise test. There was nothing. They just created a story to sell. That's not journalism. Journalists must be, if you get a story, talk to somebody who is affected so that you get the response. But you came up because you want to sell. Yes, when you write about Mirundi, you sell. But you must understand that Mirundi has struggled to get where he is.
So you're saying you were not questioned by the police about your
nothing happened.
Okay, you mentioned about the media clamoring with stories that they want to just make
money. Money.
Exactly. So
yes.
What you think the government's closure, the media siege by the government had a viable reason?
You see the problem journalists are making. There is a very big difference between an activist, a politician, and a journalist. I'm seeing unholy marriage or alliance between the scavengers, these non-government organizations. I always call them scavengers. Because I'm not seeing them, their any activity, their impact on the Ugandan society. Apart from financing demonstrations, where are they? If we make an audit of the non-government organizations, what's the impact there? So therefore, journalism carries responsibility. I've told you, I'm a highly trained journalist. I'm a veteran because I started journalism when I was 16. I have educated myself from newspaper vendoring to the university. So therefore, when I talk about journalism, I've fought battles, journalistic battles, but I have never been in a prison in the connection of a story. A journalist must be responsible. A journalist must be fair. A journalist must be knowledgeable. A journalist must be objective. But this question of writing, thinking that if government intervenes, it does not make a sense. Why? Journalists enjoy very little privileges above and over other members of society. We are not ambassadors. Yeah, you know that what protects a journalist is that we sign a social contract and sign this social contract with the masses to protect the masses, to speak for the voiceless, to be fair, to be objective, and to be concerned. You must have this human feeling that when I write a wrong story, a bad story about this
apologize.
Man, yes, we should also have this feeling of apologizing that we also make mistakes instead of being arrogant.
There was there was a recruit. The president hired an assistant to the job, and then there is a new Muganda Minister of Information. Yes. So, what does that say about the security of your job?
No, I'm doing. You see, I'm not. Are you saying that I'm bigger than a minister? The Minister of Information.
But he does your job, like he's doing what you do.
But you would tell me if I'm doing it would be me doing their jobs. Okay. Because they were ministers before I came in. Okay. 2, Madame Kajiro is in charge of communication. We do different things. For me, unlike you who are excited about Mirundi's exit, in fact, I'm seeing Kajengo as an additional hand to what we are doing. Yes. You see, for us, you are panicking. Mirundi will leave State House one day. I was never born in the State House. I was never born on the face of State House. I was born 120 miles away from State House. And it is not the State House that is making me. What is making Mirundi is this head. Whether in the State House, whether where, this head, as long as I have this head functioning, Mirundi is very dangerous.
Thank you very much. So, about the whole General Sejusa saga, do you think government's reaction is more tending to paranoia than, like the reaction that the way government reacted by closing up Monitor, Red Pepper, Dembe FM, KFM, as in, doesn't that attribute to paranoia?
No, let me tell you, if we have over 200 years radio stations and we close only 3, is that a big deal?
If you're closing the 3 that are independent, it is.
Who is not independent? Independent of who? Are they serving God? No. Independent of who? Don't they have owners?
They do have owners.
Yes.
Monitor is an independent paper.
Independent in theory, younger woman. This is not, they have a director, they have a policy from Nairobi.
Independent of
no newspaper is independent in anywhere. There's nobody who is independent. Independent of who? Independent of government. Are they independent of the directors of nation? Yes. Owners. Are they independent of Aga Khan? Have you seen anybody story about the Indian community in the Monitor? So therefore, the way I look at things differently. Monitor is not independent. And you have this mentality of thinking that the media that is not owned by government is independent. Is it owned by God? It's not owned by God. It's owned by individuals with the interest to pursue. So therefore, the question of reacting or overreacting, it doesn't make sense. What is important to me is that the Ugandan government does not resort to extrajudicial methods. When the police comes, you know that the state is coming in broad daylight. We've had countries where the state resorts to extrajudicial. You get a printer being burnt by unknown people. But here, if the police comes, investigates, it goes away. The state in Uganda works in the open, broad daylight. But for you, because you think that a newspaper offices are like embassies, you panic. Yeah, I don't panic, even if they close 100 registrations. I don't panic. What I would be concerned, why have they been closed?
And now I want to switch to more, you said you're an expert on Mengo. Given the fact that in the Buganda kingdom, the same Buganda culture, all women belong to the Kabaka, why do you think the kingdom is caging the exposure of the mother of the baby, Samakoki?
No, you see, the way the Balangira are treated everywhere is the same. Because there was no dispute about Semakokiro's birth. No. The dispute was over the mother. And me, I know, even Jesus had a mother. I have not had an individual human being who doesn't have a mother. So, the book, and at times you don't know what they do. A media publishes a story, they said they share the money.
With?
Yes, with those people. How many times have you seen Mengo ministers, those lawyers, coming up to intimidate Buked? And how would these cases end? There could be a trick that you write this story, we come up, and then we sort out of court and we share the money.
So you're saying there's a
what is there? Because if you say this is not the mother, who is the mother? But in Buganda, the Mengo Buked relationship, I'm smelling a rat. and a rotten one too. Because whenever there is a story, they settle out of court. Who takes this money? I'm smelling a rat that there is a trick. Write a negative story about us, we make some sort of noise, we set out of court, we share the money. I'm tempted to believe
So
it could be true or not.
my other question goes to tribalism and tribes as a whole in the country. There is a question of whether Luganda as a language should be made a national language. What is your take on that?
No. You see, in Africa, the problem is, why is it that there is a bucket in Rwanda? Why is it that there is a bucket in Nairobi? Why is it that there is a bucket in Dar es Salaam? Because there are people who understand Luganda and there are people who can read Luganda. But you cannot impose. Something evolves. I can go to any part of Uganda and talk my Luganda and get food.
So
Even in the taxi parks, in the markets, people talk Luganda. Why? Because they are talking the language on their own.
what's your take on the land issue in Uganda?
Me, I'm seeing one big problem, which many Ugandans and the key players in the land issue are overlooking. One, I have not come across a country that solved the land problems without violence. In Britain, read in 1200 AD, there was a black revolt. In England, this is how land was solved. You can't read about it. In France, in Kenya, the Mau Mau's killed the people to force the Europeans to go away. In Zimbabwe, the British promised money to Mugabe government to buy land from the Europeans. When the money did not come, he resorted to forceful acquisition. This problem of having serfs could be tolerated in the old days. One, the Basenze believed that the relationship between Omusenze tenant and the landlord was a Buganda culture. The landlords ensured that the tenants Basenze were serfs. Today we own more property than the landlords on their land. Three, this question of massive eviction, land evictions, is political. They want to undermine the president. That's why they normally say that the people behind land evictions come from State House. The judges, the lawyers have made a cartel to frustrate. A poor man cannot win a case against him. Now, this evicting of people will result into what caused the black revolt. Yes, in England. This eviction of people without pay cannot last. So, it is up to me. I even laugh. I'm watching a soccer game that will end in a penalty. Me, I just dance. I dance in my sitting room. It is not the problem. The president is not the problem. The president has provided the solutions. But the arrogant landlords, the arrogant lawyers, the road judges, the what? They don't know.
So
When fire catches the forest, the already monkeys shit. You see them sitting and playing to God that red thing called the fire should not come here. But the younger monkeys dance because they don't know. They think that is a football thing. That is a football thing that we shall use it for playing. Let the judges and the lawyers continue their arrogance on the peasants. They are sitting on a time bomb. That's why me, I'm happy. Me, I'm a happy man. Nobody can evict me. That will be the third world war. Nobody, including Buganda and the board. Nobody can evict me. That's